Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Bill.
No Naomi.
No Naomi.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to her. She's MIA.
She's MIA. I hope it's something good.
Yeah, well, she's young, pretty, and single, so we'll leave the imagination up to the listeners.
La, 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 la.
Exactly. Us old guys can't think like that anymore.
Oh, we can think like that.
Episode 112, Peter. Woo, doggy. We're heading for 200.
Where did the days go?
Yep.
Seems just like a yesterday when we shot down first time.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
But we were nervous the first time.
Yeah.
I'm going through my photos on my phone, like oh look, there's a Pete thing, Pete, and one of the first one was like the radio station we did.
Yes.
There I am on the microphone, like, ooh, look, a radio personality. Yeah, big deal.
Our first show, we planned it for 2 weeks. We wrote scripts
and like got in the car, like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm used to being around stage and things. Nothing makes me nervous. That was a little weird though at first. Yeah, you're just there by yourself with a microphone and some guy in a booth, and like God knows who's on the other end, if anybody, or a million people. It's weird. We got used to it.
Here we are, 2 years plus later, right?
We graduated. Let's go home.
Yeah. All right, good. So today is going to be a bit of an odd episode.
What just today? Just today?
Yeah, today's going to be
just
odd.
Today.
Well, it's going to be odd for me. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Because we're going to do something. We're going to do something that my wife loves to do, but I can't stand to do. Talk about my feelings.
Really?
Yeah. So the name of today's show is Fake Real Estate and the Men in Black.
Oh, that's weird. Fake real estate.
And the Men in Black.
Okay. I don't know what that even means, but go ahead.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
So here's a description. I'm losing big money on a deal right now. We talked about that when you came in.
Yeah, talk about feelings.
And today I want to talk about how it happened and what I did and what I'm going to do.
Mm.
So being dumb is no excuse in today's mean world. This is a lesson I had to revisit because of a bad deal. This one very huge mistake has helped me re-anchor my business and bring me much closer to those who are just starting out. So, in today's episode, I would like to tell you my sad story and then share 12 scientific facts that I will follow from this point forward. And I know you will love the simplicity of them and how much common sense they make. In fact, I would venture to say this will cheer you up and end you having to stretch your mind about real estate investing. I feel like when I was writing this, I was writing like those stories.
A eulogy?
Yeah, yeah, that too. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I was thinking like those books that love stories that they read with the big beautiful guy on the front cover, and it's a love story, right?
Bill, my wife has 8 boxes of those.
There you go.
Oh God,
you know what I'm talking about.
None of them look like me.
So, here we go.
Oh yeah.
So for the first time in, I would say, maybe 10 years, since 2009, I think, I actually have to go to a closing today and write a big fat check. And for those of you that don't understand why, it's very simple. I sold a house for less than what I owe on it. That's the simplicity of it. And it's a big check.
That's math.
I think it's a big check. I mean, there you go.
Well, anything going out of your pocket is a big check.
It's what I normally make on a deal. And then some. Well, not in that some.
No, you make more on most deals than that. So it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not a complete reverse, but
yeah.
So
what happened was, first of all, I owned the house for 13 months.
Strike one.
Yeah, actually, almost 14 months. So it was a renovation. Okay, But going back, I had a person I was dealing with back then that was promising to lend me money, which I normally don't get involved with because I have my lenders and I keep within my own network, and I like to use the guys that I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and for somebody to come lend me money, it's usually like a bit of a unusual thing for me because I have to train them. It's how I feel. Okay, I'm not saying it's true, but I have to train them. I need them to understand how it works.
Sure.
Because money people are used to doing things their own way. So they kind of had this philosophy like, do as I say, or you're no ally of mine. So do what I tell you, or I won't give you my money.
Yeah. They got the money, so they make the rules.
Right. There's something matter in my throat. Hang on. Excuse me. So, anyways, we had interviewed this girl, and we did this. Anyway, so I had a couple houses. In fact, the other day, we were going up there, and I was telling Emma that she was in the car with me, that there was a house around the corner I was trying to buy that I loved. This house was a little bit like, but I bought it. And she convinced me that the house was worth $160. I mean, it took probably 2 weeks, week and a half. She convinced me the house was worth $160, and I'm like, no, I think that house is $139.9, and it'll sell for $130. But I pushed through it, and at the time we were kind of rocking and rolling, and I needed a deal, and we were kind of doing whatever, so I bought the house. The second thing that happened was I was, at the time, I think I had 5 or 6 houses, so I was outside of my scope of money guys. So I went to a new money guy that I paid more money for. I paid 10% instead of 9%.
Mm-hmm.
And
still not terrible.
Yeah, but we fought for some points and stuff like that. So I didn't pay points. But he was promising to lend me as well. Well, first of all, the girl that I originally was dealing with, that I bought the house from, backed out on lending me the money on it.
Lovely.
And then the second thing was I had to go find a new lender. So I didn't feel good about the house. I signed a contract. I was well into it to realize that I didn't have a private lender because she backed out. So I had to go raise money because I was too far into it at this point. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting another lender. That all goes through. I buy the house. And then I put a contractor in there. So we start doing work, and we start doing whatever we're going to do. And, I had a couple houses in Hamden that kind of fell behind. So now the house sits for like 2 months waiting for the contractor, which is a bad mistake. I'm not doing that no more. We just did that with another house too. Mm-hmm. We waited for a contractor, which isn't going to happen anymore.
No, Bill, I almost want to do another renovation, see if I can get it right this time.
Yeah, right?
But not really.
Yeah. So what happened was I waited for him to come. So now he gets in the house and he starts working. And now, now we're 4 or 5 months into it, and he starts working. And I noticed that his workmanship was changing, and there was some issues there, and his attitude was kind of changing a little bit. So something was going on. And usually, for those of you that are listening to this story, I'm going to just make a very simple comment, but you should probably pay attention to what I'm telling you because I've done this so much. It's very profound. And the statement is this: when your contractor becomes a little bit weird and doesn't communicate with you as well and is doing strange things, he has done something to you that you don't know about. He's created some sort of a transgression or broken agreement that you don't know about. He's not working full hours. He priced a bathtub for $1,000 and bought it for $100. There's some transgression he feels, and sometimes it could be a transgression of omission, like they didn't do something.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But the point is that when they start getting weird, it's for a reason. They did something to you, and they're withdrawing.
They're guilty. They feel guilty, and
and just a simple mechanism of the mind is when somebody transgresses, the first thing they do is they try to withhold themselves because they feel like if they communicate too much,
they get found out.
They'll get caught.
They get caught.
Right.
Criminals zip their lips up.
Yeah.
You still eat. Don't talk.
So So I kind of didn't notice that as quick as I should have. I ended up taking the person that was doing that work, that contractor, and moving him from there because my daughter bought a house. And he was supposed to be in that house for a month and ended up being there for 2.5 months. In the interim, I found out some of the transgressions in my daughter's house, and she was polite enough to get him to go through the deal, but he was there for 3 months. So now I get into the winter with this house. I didn't plan on being in the winter, so now what happens is I have to spend a bunch of money to like heat it and electricity, and you know what I mean. Owning 7 houses is a stretch. But one of the things I can tell you is like every month I sit down and write utility bills for like $1,500 a month just for utility bills, you know, electric and gas. And that's not oil, or in the wintertime it's worse because then I got to buy oil.
Yep.
So I spent a bunch of money on holding the house. The holding cost just ate me up, right? So now what happens is the contractor doesn't finish, so now I have to get another contractor in there. And of course, that's always expensive and always. So there was just one mistake after another. Okay, so now I get to the point where I have to sell it. So I list the property, and the realtor brings me a deal. Was listed for 160. We dropped it. She said dropped to 150, and then dropped to 140. And I played that whole game. So now I own for 137. I own the house for 137, which is a complete mistake, but it just happens. Anyways, the bottom line is that she brings me a deal, and it's I forgot the deal. It's like 137. They want $7,000 seller concession back. The deal lands in the beginning at 130, and I piss and moan and blah 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 blah. No, I'm not doing it. And she's like, "You're nuts. We're never going to get another buyer." Like, every realtor thinks that the buyer they have is the last buyer on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I say no to the deal. And like a week later, I get another deal, and it different. They pay whatever 135, 140, whatever they were, but it lands at the same 130. So now I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. So now she's like pissed. Now she's like, you're not going to do any better. Well, lo and behold, a week later or 2 weeks later, I get another offer at 145 with $7,000, whatever it is. It lands at the 137.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he breaks even.
So I figure I'm gonna. Well, I already know that. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna blow some money, but it won't be so bad. So I do the deal, and here's the point. This is why I say fake real estate, because this is how I feel about it. So, it's a shame because real estate is no longer real estate. It has nothing to do with real estate. It has everything to do with the money. Thus, the guy in the black. Okay, the money guy, in the black suit. I was going to put suit there, but men in black, right? Because here's what happens. I spend several days, several days, negotiating with her on what the buyer is going to pay. So I negotiate with the buyer first, and we land at a number because I have a weird way of negotiating because I was going through this with a coaching client the other day, especially in those seller concession situations, which means that means that I give money for their closing costs. So, like in this particular case, they took a $145,000 mortgage, right, and then I give back $7,000 or $7,800, whatever it is, and then it nets out at 137.
Yeah, and it counts to the bank. It counts toward the deposit.
Right.
It gives the buyer credit that they have a certain percentage down to meet those rules and closing costs.
Yeah.
Looks good on paper.
Yeah.
But you didn't get no 145.
Right. So I go through my first round of negotiation with the buyer. And I hold strong to that because I know there's more to come.
Yeah, this is the beginning, not the end.
And the part that pisses me off, and it pisses me off, and I mean it pisses me off, because I'm not going to write another contract this way ever again. So lesson number 1 for me is I'm not going to write a contract this way anymore. They sell for 137. They write a contract for 137. So her commission is based on the 137.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now here's what happens. The inspector comes in. And now we end up with thousands of dollars, like well, the first thing they said was, I forgot what they were, all four things, but the first thing they said was,
wasn't one of them like something was burned? Part of the building on top was burned. It looked burned.
no,
Something like the exterior.
no, that was yeah. That was another inspection. That was an earlier inspection. They told me the top of the roof was burned, and I get over there, and it was because they didn't paint the peak of the house. They thought the inspector said it was burned, but that's something else.
Okay.
So the first thing that happens is they say, well, the roof looks like it's going to need replacing in 3 to 4 years, so we want to replace the roof. And I'm like, no. Oh, I know what the other thing is. They said that they wanted, in the basement, they wanted cement columns because the columns that were there were not cement filled.
They were hollow metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not doing that either. And the realtor's, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, the house has been there since 1920. They obviously work. So why would I want to remove them and replace them? I'm not going to go disturb the house, and it'll just be a nightmare. So we didn't do those two things. In any event, we get all done, and we land. So now my round 2 of negotiation goes through, which is several more thousands.
Can you say something about how you'd write the contract then?
Yeah, so what I would do is, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start writing the contract that either I pay the commission on the net number, or when I make my offers, like, yeah, I'll do 137, but I'm not paying more than $1,500 in repairs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I make that offer immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Now the only flip side to that is that you're going to pay the $1,500 every time, because they're going to say, well, I'm not going to pay more than $1,500, so they're going to find $1,500 worth of shit, even if there's nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make the number low enough, like 1,500, then that's not bad. So I should make an offer like, okay, I'm going to pay, I'll accept 137, and I'm not going to pay any more than $1,500 for repairs, or 2,000 or whatever.
A question on inspection: when they inspect the house, and they can find this and that, are they not only responsible, or we as sellers only responsible for things that need to be done, not things that people wish that was a different color, or
Yeah, but the inspectors are clever because they go by what they say the code is. Mm-hmm. So they pull codes, building codes, and they use the building codes to get things done.
Right. So if it really needs to be done, that's one thing. But they're wrong sometimes.
Problem with building codes is there is a lot of interpretation for opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, one builder will look at one thing one way, and another builder will look at another thing another way, and they both have different considerations and then interpret the code.
Mm-hmm. Can you counter that with a specialist in the field licensed to say, well, this really is not a problem?
I've done that in the past. It depends on what it is. I mean, we've had engineers and, but yeah.
So you can.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some things with inspectors, and they don't even agree on things. They don't even see the same thing. So they don't seem to be specialists at everything.
Right.
But it may be jack of all trades, and how about this and how about that? And then one specialist could override it if it was valid.
Right.
Okay.
So basically what happens is, so I do my first negotiation with the with the buyer. And then I do my second negotiation with the contractor, or the inspector.
The inspector comes along.
Then I get my third negotiation. Because it's an FHA mortgage, it now has to be FHA appraised, and the FHA inspector comes in, and he's looking for things like, peeling paint and steps and railings and all that other stuff, which you would think that the first inspector would know what the FHA rules are, but no, that's not the case. I mean, we were talking about this morning. I mean, the FHA inspector came in, and he's like, he writes in an email. They write me specific things, and I'm very cautious with this because I print the email, I bring it on the job, and I do each thing. I look at them. You and I do it together. We look at them, and we're very specific. We make sure we get pictures so there's no confusion, because these guys are like weird. Okay, so we do that. We went out there this past weekend, and we did that work, and then he comes back to make sure the work is done, and lo and behold, there's 2 more things he finds. Right? So I'm just frustrated with not so much my realtor, although I'm a lot disappointed in her, because to her I'm just another order. I mean, she does 90 deals a year, and when I met her, she did a lot less than that. She did she did 40 or 50 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because of me, but I helped. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm definitely part of that.
Yep.
Because I do multiple properties a year with her, right? So, anyways, at the end of the day, she gets paid on the 137, and all the repair money, which was thousands and thousands of dollars, she doesn't participate. Now, the thing that irritates me about that is that I can't speak to the buyer because that's what the agent does, or the agents, because there's a buyer agent and a seller agent.
Yeah, but they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to gain by helping you reduce those expenses, the requests, because they get paid no matter either way.
So now look what happens, and then we're going to move on. We're going to get off of this because I could go on this the whole
this
show.
is a lesson and a half here.
So what happens now, in my perspective, is all of a sudden the entire deal. Now we're talking about inspection stuff now, right? FHA inspection, because all she keeps saying to me is, well, you can't let the deal go now. Well, you don't want to lose the deal now. So what's happened is I had the buyer, I have the buyer's agent, and now my agent all trying to sell me on what I should or shouldn't do to keep the deal together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As if it was the last deal in the world and that I should, do things that I don't want to do, spend money that I don't have in this particular case, so that they all can get their fees. So the buyer can get, all this goody shit in the house. Both the realtors get their fees, and everybody's good.
Thanks for the house, Bill.
Yeah, and as I told you this morning, the only one that offered to help me on this deal, was my attorney. Everybody else has got their hand out, and they're like just trying to sell me on, you should do this and you should do that and you should do this. So thus my title, it's fake real estate, because it has nothing to do with the house. It has nothing to do with common sense. It has nothing to do with the people. It has everything to do with the money. And the guy with the gold makes the rules. And it's frickin' sad, because that's what it's come to. Because it's just not a fair business. Okay? Now, you know me, I'm not doom and gloom. Or at least I don't think I am anyways. So let's flip it over to the other side of the coin. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's doing a deal with the conventional way, which is why I don't like doing them, because I'm done with it. I'm telling you, I'm so done with it. I'm reverting back to my roots, and we got 2 more renovations we're doing, and not that I won't do them again, but it's going to be a lot different. I'm not doing it this way anymore. And when I mean this way, the only reason why I'm going to the realtor is because the way that I borrow my money is for 12 months. Right? So I want to buy, I want to fix, and I want to flip for 12 months. All I need to do, Peter, and I say me, I mean us, all we need to do is, instead of borrowing the money for 12 months, we borrow for longer and we sell our way. And I'm going to explain that to you right now.
Okay.
So the other house that I just sold a couple weeks ago was in Clinton.
Bill, it's so night and day that I almost regret buying the renovations we were doing together. But what happens, you get in a house and you talk to people and you want to buy it, and you look at it, it needs renovating. It's just a disaster. So you either do it or you don't do it at all. Maybe sell it as a handyman. But this other house you did in Clinton,
right?
It was faster. The money's there. You got cash flow. Jeez, I like that deal. That's my favorite deal of the year.
It's
my favorite deal of the year, right there.
Yeah. It's an ugly house, right?
But it has character. And this thing once was almost a mansion.
Yeah.
It was just old and beat, but it was a bigger house, had a swimming pool, a lot of land. You could see a family lived there 30 years ago, and it was like beautiful.
It was the old farmhouse.
Yeah, it was a nice one though.
Yeah.
It just got beat.
There was a tract of land there, and this was the farmhouse.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
it was okay.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So I buy the house. It's an ugly house, much like the one that I'm just talking about now. Okay. Difference is I didn't buy it from a bank. The first house I bought from a bank. So I didn't even go through that portion of the story about how I had to buy it from the bank and how long it took, and it was a bidding war, and it's like there's the silent bidder when you're buying on the MLS. Okay? So I had to go through, the whole, the first house I was talking about, the whole process of digging through the MLS and making offers with realtors, and, they refuse them and they come back and it's like highest and best. But here's the thing. Have you ever boxed a shadow?
No, it's futile. I refuse to do so. But I know what you mean.
That's what I feel like. It's like I had that seller on the other end that I can't see them. I have no indicators of what they're doing. And it's just they come back.
Well, you can't see the other buyers or the seller.
Right.
You don't see anything. It's like eyes closed, typing eyes closed.
So let me give you what I just said is a real good trick. Bank says, give me your highest and best.
Mm-hmm.
The inclination of that is what?
Well, your highest number.
Okay, why
right?
though?
Well, because other people are bidding, and you better do that, or else you'll lose it. So you better come up with a really pretty high number, or you're going to lose your deal.
Right.
Or there may be nobody else there.
That's right. See what I mean? So that's just one thing. So I can't speak to my seller.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sell with the way that I just sold, I can't speak to my buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my protest. It's not like I'm some conspiracist or something like that. Let me explain this other deal in Clinton about how it changes, okay? And this is the reason why I make the comments and the rants that I make, okay? So we're calling for sale by owners, right? We're talking to the owner.
Mm-hmm.
I get some one of my opening callers. In fact, it might have been Naomi. I don't know who it was.
I think Melissa found that one.
Melissa found it.
She found that. Yeah.
So we get the they get the owner on the phone. Actually, it wasn't the owner. There was some guy that we talked to. They passed the deal to me. Actually, they didn't even pass it to me. They didn't want to do a terms deal. But I was digging through the leads because I was looking for stuff. For some reason, it stuck out at me. So I called the guy. Long story short, the person that owned the house passed away in April. They had no children, gave the house to the brother who lived in Kentucky.
Mm.
And this guy, I think, lived somewhere. I don't know if he lived in Kentucky. I don't know where he was from, but he didn't have the same area code as the guy that owned the house. Was a friend of his and was younger and was helping him sell the house. So I go through my routine with him. And I don't want to say a spiel, but like a routine with him, because I go through the process. And he says, I think we could do business. I'm going to call so-and-so up. I get that guy on the phone, and I have a 45-minute conversation with him. They make arrangements for me to go down and look at the house. I walk around the house, and I leave the house, and I'm thinking, I know what I want to bid. I know what I want to offer. It's a $260,000 house. I want to pay like, low 100s, right? Anyways, long story short, I'm like thinking, but I don't want to get in the trap anymore. I need to stop this madness. I don't want to sell with a realtor. I don't want to do all this stuff we're talking about. So I remember Ron LeGrand talking about a wholesale deal, and I've done these before. So
wholesale.
This is a wholesale. So where you take a wholesale deal and you retail it.
Mm-hmm. Rather than a wholesale deal, you sell to another investor who then fixes it and then he sells it and flips it. So, I was thinking about that this morning. The terms like, it must be that. So a wholesale retail,
right,
to an end buyer,
right. So instead of selling it to someone that so the wholesaler needs to make money, right? The contractor needs to make money. Everybody needs so there's like multiple profit centers in there. So what you do instead of a wholesale deal is you take an ugly house and you bring it to the retail market, right? So what I did is I instead of borrowing the money for 1 year like I normally do, I borrowed the money from a friend of mine's IRA, and for 5 years. And normally I make payments when I pay the house back. I don't make payments. I make the payment
at the end.
The interest payment at the end.
Yeah.
So I don't have the monthly payments, right? Which is a lesson within itself. Is this making sense?
Oh yeah.
So I buy the house, got 5 years to pay for it. I have a monthly mortgage payment. Okay. I borrow a little extra money. I go down there. and I put a crew down there, and I clean the house. That's all I do. I take bushes out. I get them away from the house. I power wash the house. I go inside. The lady lived in there. I just clean the house. Just clean it.
Knickknacks, books.
All in a dumpster. 40-yard dumpster. See ya. Okay? All this stuff is out. We clean the basement. We sweep the floors. We sweep the garage. Just clean it. Then I send a cleaning crew in, and they do the floors and make it smell pretty. Then I use my system. All right? I put 12 signs in a neighborhood. I put an ad, a few ads around, I put a page up on the internet. And I put a lockbox out front with some signs, and I send people to the house. Well, in 9 days, I had, I think, 80-something phone calls, which is unusual. The stats in this house are unusual because I had 50% of them went to the house. I had almost 50 people go through the house.
What's your usual ratio?
Normally, I'll get 100 phone calls. I'll get 20 or 30 people through the house.
So a lot, good high ratio. Actually, want to see it.
40-something, a high 40% that want to see it.
Any idea why that would be different?
Yes, I figured it out. Because the town I'm in, they never saw that before.
Oh.
Because Clinton is an affluent town, and it's old money, and they just don't do it. It's very stoic.
Conservative.
They're like on the water, old money. They just never saw nothing like that. So here I come, young kid on the block, and, so they never saw that. So it attracted a lot of people. Here's the point. I had the house for 5 weeks. And that's only because it took me 2 weeks because I was busy with something else to hire the contractors. I had the house for 5 weeks, put it on the market. 9 days later, I sold the house. It's got a big fat profit. I mean, it's got a 6-figure profit when I sell it.
Oh, you got good cash flow too.
And it's got good cash flow.
And a big check at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, that's the 6 figures.
Yeah, well, you talk about money now, money monthly, money later, and this is exactly that. And in 5-6 weeks, you did the whole thing,
right?
And then you have money coming down the road later on. I mean, wouldn't it be great to just plant these things like little trees,
right?
Little nest eggs, and then they just fruit down the road. But you're getting money in the meantime,
right? So the lesson and I sold it as a handyman special. So what I did is the house was worth. I sold the house for $40,000 less than what it was worth.
Yeah, but that would be like the renovation amount of money. So instead of you spending $40 and doing the renovation,
right?
You're not making that anyways. Just sell it.
So my buyer walks in there with a deposit, does a rent to own with me with $40,000 worth of equity. How hard is it going to be for us to get him a mortgage?
Oh yeah, on top of that,
right?
Because he's got the equity in the house.
He's got equity plus he'll fix it up.
Yeah, so by the time he goes for the mortgage, it'll be fixed up and be worth. It'll appraise around $260.
Right. So not only is he getting the value of him doing the work and not paying for it, but when he does, it's like twice the money for him because he does the work cheap because the labor's his.
Yep.
Then when he does that, so like suppose I would pay $10,000 to do something like a kitchen.
Yeah.
He does it, buys the materials, we'll say for $5,000 or $6,000, and gets a $10,000 kitchen. But more importantly than that, not only does he get a $10,000 kitchen, but now he brings the house up to the real value, so he gets the $40,000 worth of equity because he did that.
Right, and his loan is not 90%, 80%, might be 75, 70% by the time it comes around.
Right.
When they appraise it,
right,
and he's got to pay down to a certain amount or the equity up.
Right.
Cool.
So the difference between the two deals is huge.
So much less pain in the deal. I mean, for 1 weekend, like, Jesus, Pete, the freaking phone is just blowing up.
Right.
Geez, but that's too bad. You're getting people to buy your house.
Right.
But for a few days, a week or two, instead of the other aggravation we have to go through on the rehabs.
Right.
Yeah,
I did it for 9 days.
I like this deal, Bill.
9 days. You know what I mean? But I didn't have that mysterious, to me, the other is fake real estate. And I know it's mainstream. I know it's how Donald Trump makes his money and, Kiyosaki make them. I get it. I get that they're worth a lot of money. I'm not that worth. So, but I could tell you that I have done both deals just in a matter of a couple months here. And it has steadfast me in my mind that we are going to stop doing as many flips. I think the market's going to turn anyways.
Yeah.
I think that I think we're in our peak and it's about to turn. I think by this time next year, it will not be like this. We're in August of 2018. I think by the time we get into August of 2019, it's not going to be this way. I hope I'm wrong. Our presidential moves could change that. But if you look back over history, every 8 and 9 years in the decades, real estate always crashes.
Well, not to get off the subject too much, but in spite of how well things seem to be going for us, you look at the news or Facebook or reports, and there's just other countries involved with the monetary system, the gold reserves, the not gold reserves, Bitcoin. We're not going to use the American dollar as the monetary unit for trade. So regardless of what we do in this country, we are affiliated so tightly with sanctions here and sanctions there and trade here and there that what other countries do could affect us. So beyond what we do, and I wish we could just be more Americans and just take care of our own business and not. It's almost like the same thing. We're depending so much on trade with other people, sanctions with other countries, that it can affect what happens here.
Right.
I think you can overdo that. So if something screws up across the pond, it could screw us up here. I don't need that.
Right.
It's enough not to keep my own stuff from being crappy. And if somebody else makes a mess and it messes me up, I don't like that.
Right.
Now, you have to trade and you have to cooperate, and you got some nice coconuts and I got some nice corn. Yeah, fine. But it reminds me of what you're talking about. It's kind of like fake. There's a fakeness, You can't just go make your product, sell it, get your money, and go home. Well, it was influenced by what happened over there. The price is less. So as good as we're doing, I have some concerns of that too. And the lease options and the other systems are just much safer for everybody.
Well, there's no risk.
Yeah.
Like in this particular case, if I don't write that big check today, I still own the house. It just costs me more money.
Mm-hmm.
Where if it was a lease option, I would just say, I'm done. Here's the money I owe you. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm done. I walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So much less risk.
Yep.
Right? So, in my dark hours.
You sought the light.
No. I just was at my computer. I was actually with my wife the other day, and we were at an appointment. Actually, she's been ill, and we were actually with a doctor, and they were working on her. And I just had to I opened my computer, and I'm like, I need to write something, because that's how I sort things out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I wrote, I named it. I don't know if it's the right name, but I named it the dynamics of real estate, or the dynamics of the real estate investor.
Okay.
So it's like these things. So let's talk about that for a second. What is a dynamic?
Well, there's the definition. I think the idea. I think is while you're looking it up is like the energy flows, or how you put your efforts.
Right.
What directions you put your. Dynamic means energetic, energy.
So it means motion. It's like It's like the senior thing. I think it's a senior thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
well, it's not just the physical part, but nothing physical happens unless you say it's going to happen. You have to make choices. You make choices where you're going to put your efforts. And we do that all the time in real estate, our jobs. Like, what am I going to do today in my business? Where am I going to put my efforts? Where should I put my beans?
Okay, so dynamic and dynamics are two different words. So dynamic means characterized by energy and vigor and forceful.
Like an adjective, descriptive.
Yeah. Where the word dynamics, which is a noun, is it's the first definition is a branch of mechanics dealing with bodies in motion. It is often divided into kinetics and
There it goes.
Yeah.
Motion.
Yeah, so it's motion. Kinetics means motions.
Mm-hmm.
Then definition number 2, which is the one I think we're talking about, is motivating or governing forces operating in any field, activity, or the laws by which they act.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
how
about.
do things work? Like what motivates things to happen? Why does this happen? What causes this to go?
And it's the laws in which they act.
Yeah, laws. It's not, they try to do that with economics, but I don't think they understand how it really works. But
Right.
they're trying to, this causes this causes that.
So what I've done is I've just made 12 of them that I'm telling you that if you do a creative real estate deal, you not only have to do these, but you have to do them in the order I'm going to give them to you in.
Okay.
So these are the dynamics. So let me just give you that one more time. It's motivating or governing forces operating in any field or activity, or the laws by which they act.
Okay.
Okay, and that's what I'm covering is the laws by which they act.
Bill, you've talked so much about how you do deals and structured deals. Is this something new? Or how does
I don't know.
How does this fit in?
I have no idea. I haven't gotten that far. All I know is that what I've gone through, and it's so clear to me that this is how I'm going to run my business.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be policy for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. This is your policy. How you gonna? These are your laws,
right?
To oversee all the.
So regardless of whatever I put in the past, I'm sure it's similar. I don't know that I've put it this concise before. I know that my blueprint course, we did a blueprint course where it was the 6 major parts of the blueprint, but that was a whole day thing. It's on one piece of paper.
Yep.
And I'm not going to share it. I'm going to say it on this podcast, and that's it. Okay.
Okay, I'm listening. And when
go.
when you're in the other room, I'm going to make a copy of that for me.
Yeah. Well, you can have it. So number one. These are things you have to do, okay? So this is just raw data. This is not like no special copywriting or anything like that. So number one, an awareness and recognition that real estate investing done properly can and will create the lifestyle any individual or group can wish to have. So let me do it again. Number one is an awareness and recognition that real estate investing done properly can and will create the lifestyle any individual or group can wish to have. The biggest problem that I have when I teach people real estate is they think that it can't happen, and they like put me on a pedestal and they're like judging me to see if I'm for real or not.
Yeah.
So they haven't decided. First of all, they haven't decided that real estate can give them what they want. They have not made that decision. They're still looking for evidence. They're still looking for proof.
What I don't understand is, do they not trust the industry or themselves? Because I look around and see people doing it all the time. Of course, you can doubt if you can do it.
Right.
But I see that it works all the time. I mean, I just look out the window. People sell and buy houses all the time, so I know it's happening. And some people I know, as you and others, invest and make money.
So that's correct. But my point is if this rudiment isn't in, like what you just said, you believe that other people can do it, so it's you.
Yeah.
And
I guess you have to believe both.
And you still do it to me, and I'm sure I do it to you, but you believe what you believe. You know, so it's like you'll say to me, I don't know what to do. Like when I gave you a hard time not too long ago. I don't know what to do about the basement in Bunn Street because it's leaking. So I tell you what to do, and then you text me back, yeah, but I think the contractor this and then you rebuttal it. Like the information I gave you was incorrect. Now, not that I'm like the end all be all, because I'm not, but in that specific case, I've done it before. So I'm giving you my experience, and obviously you didn't like the idea or didn't agree with it or whatever. And then right away, instead of thinking that you didn't get it, you automatically think that I'm wrong. The guy that's done it a bunch of times.
No, in my defense.
Yeah.
No, what I think happens in cases like that, when I get someplace and I start digging it, I think I'm uncovering things you might not have seen when I'm just digging around and poking in holes.
But
and
see
corners.
what I'm saying? There's things you're uncovering things that I haven't seen.
No, that you might not have seen in this particular place is if you haven't been there. That's what I'm not sure of.
Right.
If you notice that this was the case, and then, because when you do a renovation, you open up a wall and like, oh crap, and you find things.
Right.
You don't know that before that. So I don't mistrust you. It's just I'm not sure you'd seen something that I ran into.
Right. So the reason why I make this number one is because if you don't have the awareness and recognition that you could do this, or that what we're talking about, creative real estate or real estate in general, works, then you won't look at yourself internally and say, what am I doing wrong? And a lot of people don't get past that first step. They don't have that rudiment in, because they think that, oh, it's a scam, or they'll start listening to the naysayers or the family members that are keeping them poor. You know, the wife or the husband that doesn't believe it. that are working against them, and they don't even know they're working against them. And it's the little carping comments that are working against them. Like, I told you that wouldn't work. Or, don't ask me about that. I don't want to know anything about it. Those are carping comments that are insidious. They're there you go. They're insidious.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to make sure that's in. Okay, that's number one. Number two, orientation on how you can actually do this type of activity and how much it will actually take to pull off desired and consistent income doing it.
The orientation.
So you need to figure out what kind of real estate you're going to do. You need to figure out what's going to happen. You need to make some decisions on how you're going to do it, because there are so many people like myself out there teaching what they do that you get confused on what you're going to do. And how many times have we heard people come to the meetup? Oh, I'm going to do wholesale. Oh, I'm going to do renovations. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. I like to think that what makes me different is I'm going to teach you how to cast your net. And when you pull in what's in the net, you know which one to do. So I'm not that guy that says, oh, I'm a wholesaler, or oh, I'm a subject to guy. No, I'm a guy that says that there's 7 ways that you can do deals, which we've covered in many episodes, right? There's 7 ways that you can make offers, and you should be prepared for each one of those ways, so that when your fish come in your net, you know what to do with them.
Yeah, and you don't have to if you don't want to.
No.
But you have more than one choice. If it doesn't fit, you're out.
Right.
People go around for months and months and months and months and never get a deal because it doesn't fit their little shoehorn.
So I'm different than all the other guys because I teach you that you shouldn't just be specific. Okay? Now, with that said, I'm going to make a premature statement here, and then we're going to cover it before we get to the last 12. What I really specialize in is finding buyers that want to do a rent-to-own. That's what I specialize in.
Yeah.
And this is the lesson that I've learned this week, because I'm really good at finding buyers that want to do a rent-to-own, and that's what I'm really good at. Why am I doing renovations? Because that is not my business model. I'm doing it because of money.
Yeah, well, they appear. You cast your net, and they're in the net.
Right.
And it's sometimes hard to say no when it's sitting in your face.
So the ratio's backwards. We're doing too many renovations.
Yeah.
Not enough of the other ones.
Yeah.
And the ratio's backwards. So what's happened is it consumes our time with the wrong things, chasing contractors, doing things like yesterday afternoon. I came home from my wife, and we were at the doctor's office, and I had to go out, and I actually ruined a $40 shirt. Actually, it was a $70 shirt that I bought for $40 because I got paint all over it. I mean, which is stupid. I should have taken the shirt off. Duh.
Your painted paint cover T-shirts.
Yeah. My point is that why did I have to go out at 7 o'clock last night or 6 o'clock last night at dinner time to go fix a problem that I never knew I had until the inspector went back and said, oh, after the fact, by the way, do this too. Okay? I don't have to do that when I do it this other way.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Excuse me, the sneeze. All right, number 3. Now we get in the meat and potatoes. So now we have a mindset.
Yes.
So we know that no matter what deal comes our way, well, first of all, we know that real estate does work. And we can make a living with it, regardless of what anybody says. Number 2, we know now that any deal that comes our way, we can make an offer because we have 7 ways to do that. So we have confidence in this. And if it doesn't go well, then it's something we're doing wrong. It's some misunderstood we have. It's something that you don't understand.
Right.
Okay. Number 3, find and communicate to motivated sellers, which includes separating the suspects from the prospects so you don't waste time and resources on the wrong marketing responses.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, it is.
But that fits right there. It's got to be right there. Okay.
So basically, we cast the net, and some fish are going to be long enough and big enough to keep, and some have to go back in the water.
And you don't have to convince the small ones to be big ones.
Right.
Talk them into it.
Right.
Blow them up.
Right.
Inflate them.
Right.
Wishful think.
Right.
Yeah, none of that.
So, not to divert because I want to keep moving so we stay in time here. But I love to fish. Haven't done too much this year, which is another thing that I don't like.
That's right. Too much painting.
I like
Too much digging, Bill.
I like striper bass, which lately I've been catching sea bass, which is a much better eat, by the way.
Okay.
But striper bass in Long Island Sound, they have to be 28 inches
28
to keep.
Wow.
Now, this is very apropos to what we're talking about because my father-in-law owned a place on Fairfield, right in Fairfield, right on the water. And I'm going to give you an example of one weekend, which happened to be, I think, Labor Day weekend a few years ago. So I went there, and it's a whole story which I won't tell now, but I went fishing, and I went fishing for a couple hours because it's a specific, so here's the thing, it's a specific time, place, and type of bait. It's very, very much like what we do. I catch 24 fish.
In how long a time period?
90 minutes.
Whoa.
Okay, on the shore, because I know where to go, I know what bait to use, and I know how to catch them.
Wow.
Ask me how many I kept.
I'm afraid because I like to eat fish, and you throw them away.
None, because none of them were 28 inches.
Okay. But you have fun fishing.
I had fun. Now,
okay.
The point in saying that is it's very similar when I say find a communication. Find and communicate to motivated sellers, which includes separating the suspects from the prospects so you don't waste time and resources on the wrong marketing response. So when I pull that fish in and it's 22 inches, what do I know?
Suspect.
It's going back in the water.
Yep.
So when you use my system that we talk about all the time, which, by the way, you can find at flippinghousesforrookies.com, and the name of the course is How to Make Money with Real Estate Without a Loan, and it teaches you all this. What it does is it shows you, oops, this is 22 inches instead of 28 inches. I'm not keeping it. Back in the water. Done. So now what are you doing? You're looking for a new fish. You're not thinking that you already have your catch and you can go home. You're not relaxed at that point.
No, you're not wasting your time either.
Right.
Hey, Bill, do you know where bigger fish are?
I do, actually.
that would be ideal then. Like, well, they're all small here. Like, let's try over here. Hey, look, I found the big ones. Would that be good? That's what we're looking for. Where's the big ones?
And we figured that out. So.
Okay.
4, tell your seller prospects what you do so they know your services will help them solve their problem and they will want it. So once you figure out, okay, this is a 28-inch fish, now you say to them, I buy houses and here's what I do. Now, the important thing that I want to make sense of here is I know that I'm a specialist and an expert in selling a house on a rent-to-own. So when I'm buying the house, what do I have to do? When I'm making my offers and I'm buying the house, what do I have to do? Make that possible.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to sell to my owner, like I was talking about the house in Clinton, when I'm going to sell to my buyer,
on the other end, your buyer that's coming in, yeah,
right, I'm going to set that potential up with my seller.
Well, you need to know like your exit strategy when you're making the offer. It has to fit how the story's going to end up.
So like the house in Clinton, okay, I decided that I'm going to borrow 5 years worth of money. And I'm going to sell it on a lease option. Handyman special, but I'm going to sell it on a lease option.
Right? Yeah, because in that case, because it wasn't a pretty house.
Right.
And if it's pretty, you don't need to borrow the money.
Right.
Or something like that.
So here, number 4, tell your seller prospect what you do so they know your services will help them solve their problem and they will want it. So in most cases, what I'll do, now in this case, I didn't need to do that, which most people don't think of this. If you're going to pay cash for a house, you're gonna bring your seller lower money. Right? You're gonna because you're paying for it now, you should get a discount.
Sure.
What you don't realize is that there are people that have IRAs and 401ks and retirement money that don't need that money now and just want it to grow. So you go find one of those lenders and give yourself term.
Mm-hmm.
So the seller doesn't need to give you terms.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it other ways. Like in this case, I borrowed money from an IRA.
Yes, you paid cash for the house, but you financed it with a longer loan from an IRA because you can't take the money out till you're 59 and a half anyways, and you're just hoping it grows.
Exactly. Okay. Now, very often, if you have a pretty house, which is what we normally do business with, you give your seller the same advantage. So you tell your seller, okay, if I pay for it today, it's this much money.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me 3 years, it's this much money. If you give me 7 years, it's this much money. And if you give me 10 years, it's this much money. And each one of them goes up. The more they wait, the more you pay.
Mm-hmm.
No different than you buying something on your credit card and paying for it over months.
Yeah, a car, 3 years, 5 years, whatever.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
15-year mortgage, a 30-year mortgage.
Exactly. Okay. So when I say tell your prospect what you do so they know your services will help solve their problem, that's what I'm doing. So the guy that I paid cash for, it solved his problem, but I gave him less money.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a different deal and you're going to solve their problem by paying them more money, then you need term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why you're telling them this, because you're going to tell them your exit strategy. My exit strategy is I do a rent-to-own. By the way, 81% of the population that are looking for houses don't qualify for a mortgage.
Yeah, not just the population, people actually looking or really wanting to buy a house.
Right. Can't qualify for a mortgage, but they still want a house.
No.
So if we help those people buy a house because we set up terms with our seller, we have a sweet business.
Yeah, and it's a great deal for them, too. They're stuck in a rental.
Right.
A lot of those people don't know that they can even do this. They're flabbergasted. You mean I could buy it? Yeah, it's rent to own. Takes a few years. Instead of what, renting forever?
Right.
It's a fabulous deal for them.
All right, number 5. Find out what is needed and wanted so you can make offers that will entice the seller to expect and sell to you. So let me see if I get this straight. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. I guess I got fishing on the mind this morning.
It's a good analogy. We'll stick with it.
What's the best way to sell somebody something?
Find somebody who is predisposed to wanting it.
Okay. And then what do?
Tell them about it. Put a big sign.
Ask them what they want first.
Mm-hmm.
And then give it to them. Right?
Yeah. Well, the waiter comes over. What will you have?
Right.
Imagine if you went to a restaurant and they asked what would you like? He says, no, you can't have that. You have to eat this. I don't eat. That happened to us. We were at a restaurant, and the wife wanted the roast beef, and they only serve it with like the horseradish sauce. I don't like horseradish. Well, that's the only way we serve it. But I don't. That's what. So we bought something else and we left.
I never went back.
Never went back. I mean, that's not smart in the first place. So you ask them what they want, and give it to them.
That's why I say the seller makes my offers.
Yeah.
Because I ask them, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
Mm-hmm.
And they tell me. Number 6, deliver what's needed and wanted so a closing on the property goes smoothly and you are in control of the property, or you get the deed once it's all over. So one thing that doesn't happen in the real estate business, which is why I call it fake real estate, is because most realtors don't know the process and can't guide their clients through the process because they just don't know. And that sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, just listen to the stories around you about people that deal with a common realtor and realize that they've had nothing but horror stories. Right?
Yep, understand.
Number 7, prepare the property for sale. Maybe that's a renovation, maybe it's a cleanup, whatever it is, prepare it for sale.
Mm-hmm.
That's common sense. Number 8, now watch this. Number 8, and I'm doing this for you, Peter, because I know you had this realization not too long ago. You reverse the process now. So number 8, find and communicate to motivated buyers.
Yeah, like, oh, they're motivated too.
Which includes separating the suspects from the prospects so you don't waste time and resources on the wrong marketing responses. So now I have a nice little system that we talk about, and how to buy real estate without a loan. It's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's automated, and we weed out the prospects and the suspects with the marketing, not by talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And even when I did it without your current system, just some Craigslist and stuff, a lot of people call.
Yeah.
The way it's worded, the way it's set up, a lot of people call. You think, if you've never done this, like, well, what if nobody calls? I'm sorry, a lot of people call.
Right.
My state has 3 million people.
Yep.
A lot of those want to buy houses.
Yep.
A lot of people call. You'll be like annoyed how many call. I'm sorry. Don't worry about them calling. They will call.
Right. Number 9, tell your buyer prospect what you do so they know your services will solve their problem and will help them.
Hey, you're cheating. You're just rewriting the last ones based on the first ones in reverse to get yourself.
But that's the way it works. These are the laws. This is how you do it.
You get yourself in, you get yourself out.
Right? So you need to tell your buyers, this is how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it works. And you do that in your marketing. I have a 2-page document that's called Frequently Asked Questions.
Yeah.
What does it do? It explains how I do it
mm-hmm.
in the form of a Frequently Asked Questions document.
Yeah, because they will have questions, and you just answer them all in that form. It's
and
great.
How did I get those Frequently Asked Questions?
Yeah.
Talking to too many people, and these questions come up every time, almost every time.
Yeah, these are incredible time savers.
Right.
Because you can't talk to 80 people and explain the whole thing.
Right.
You won't do it a second time.
Right. Then number 10, let the buyer know what is needed and wanted from you, so they will be enticed and be able to meet your buying requirements. Mm. So I need $10,000 down, and I need $2,300 a month, whatever the number is.
Yep.
I need $8,000 down, and I need $1,300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. You don't need credit. You don't need all this other stuff. We're going to do a background check. So if you have something there, just tell me what your skeletons are in your closet right now. Let's just confront it. If not, I'm going to find out sooner or later anyways.
Mm. You actually tell people that?
Yeah.
Mm. Well, it's funny. You said what's the deposit and what's the payment. You didn't say anything about the overall price of the house.
Right. Because they don't ask that.
Well, they don't really care because they've been renting so long, a lot of these people, that they don't care what something costs. They care if they can afford to be in it. So what if it's 10 years or 20 years or 30 years?
Or
it's
they
a payment.
bought a house and lost it and realized that they never paid the full price off anyways because they lost the house. So they're kind of like an apathy. Well, I'm probably not going to pay all that anyways.
Well, 30 is such a long time. It's not like, how do we get to the end of this? It's how do we get in?
You want to know what the stable datum is on pricing houses?
What?
The average person lives in a house 7 years.
Huh.
That's the stable datum.
Yeah.
So price only matters to the guy that's going to go to the bank and get the money. Because he needs to go to the bank and get the money.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes to the banker's going to say to him, oh, you can't pay that much for the house. That's too much money, because the banker is ultra conservative and wants to make sure his money's protected with the physical portion of the house. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why. It's the only reason why.
Of course.
So if I say to them, okay, you're going to pay $219,900 for the house, what are they going to pay? $219,900. Because they're going to give me their $10,000 down or $12,000 or $15,000 down, and they're going to pay $1,800 a month or $1,600 a month, and they're going to live there. They're going to have the experience of living there. They have to pay to live somewhere. They might as well be paying towards something they're going to get in the end.
But the weird thing is they never pay the $219,000. They're paying $1,800 a month, $1,800 a month. Anytime you buy something on time, you're not paying that whole amount. You're paying the, you say all the time, like $50 a month. Buy yourself blah blah.
Yeah.
Car, guitar, house, kitchens.
Good.
$249 a month.
Number 10, I think I haven't done this yet. I might be repeating myself. Let the buyer know what is needed and wanted from you, so they will be enticed and be able to meet your buying requirements. So that's the one we just covered. Number 11, deliver what's needed and wanted so a closing on the property goes smoothly and you are rewarded as expected. I'm not getting rewarded as expected with this real estate deal.
I see why you worded it like that, as expected, because you can't tell. I mean, I asked you, how much think we're going to make on the house, Bill? Just, I never pay. I don't know. You find out at the closing table.
Hundreds of closings.
This happens, that happens. Yeah. You never know.
They called me yesterday 3 times and changed the number 3 times on the settlement statement because they couldn't decide. 2 lawyers and 2 paralegals. Couldn't. They kept changing it.
There's taxes. There's
3 times.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Step number 12, and this is how we'll end the show. Rinse and repeat as often as you desire to produce income.
Hey, where's the part take your family out for dinner?
I took it out.
Rinse and repeat.
As often as you desire to produce income.
But if you do it that way, it's more desirable.
Yep.
What we're both going through in the house is less. I decided the other day, I like when I buy the house. I like when I sell the house. In the middle is not that much fun.
No.
In the beginning, look how creative it is. And they want, what asbestos?
Right.
What do you mean? Okay, the inspection on the house in Manchester. I don't remember this one. The water heater's turned up too high. The water's too hot.
Yeah.
I looked at it, and there's a knob that says warm, hot, cool. Well, just turn the damn thing. Why do you have to put it on inspection report? This house is unacceptable. Oh, my God.
Right.
Now you're getting me excited.
Yeah. All right. So.
Rinse and repeat. As often as you like.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. If you go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/case study, I have a 37-minute video that you can watch me actually do a deal. And what I did is with Emma, I had a deal we were doing several months ago, and I documented each step of it, like 2-3 minutes of that step. It doesn't tell you how to do it. It just shows you the entire deal. It shows you how to do it. Okay?
It shows what you did.
Yeah, it shows me. Well, it shows what I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's details, but at least you get this is what happens. Boom, boom, boom.
These are the steps, and it's just me on my cell phone, and sometimes Emma holding a cell phone because I can't hold it or because whatever. Mostly it's just me holding my cell phone, but all the way from how I found the lead, all the way through going to the town hall, all of it. How I did my documents, I did all of it. And in the end, I think there was a $10,000 profit on that one, or a $10,000
deposit
money now.
Yeah.
And then there's $300 a month money monthly, and then there was I think $40,000 on money later.
Right. Wow. Let's see.
35 or 40,000. Anyways,
it's like money in the bank.
Go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/case study. There is no fee. There is no nothing. You can just go there and review it there. And you can see exactly how I do it, so I can put my money where my mouth is, because I'm still active, unlike many other guys that teach real estate. I still do it every day. The stories you hear from us are live. The story I'm telling you today is actually
this morning's story.
Actually a closing that I'm going to have this afternoon. Okay. Last thing I want to say is please go give us a review, good, bad, or indifferent. As we say, good, bad, or ugly. Go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/podcast, and all the podcasts, the archive podcasts are there, and you can click on iTunes and give us a review, or whatever other device you use, and give us a review. I really appreciate those. We do this for free. It's a couple hours of our time every week to help you buy real estate. I think the least you could do is go give us a score and give us some notes and do whatever you want.
And thanks for being so forthcoming and honest with how things really work sometimes.
Right.
To know the whole story, not that everything is lovely all the time.
Yep.
This isn't television; it's real life.
And if you have questions, thank you, Peter. If you have questions, go to bill@flippinghouses4rookies.com, and I will answer your emails. I answer those emails myself personally. It's bill@flippinghouses4rookies.com. With that said, we're over and out. Talk to you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.